When I first started learning about leadership, I was coming from the religious sector, where I had been trained and conditioned in beliefs, vices, and virtues, all within the context and language of theology and spirituality. And so I had the expectation that my interest in leadership was an interest in a different world, a corporate and business world that had a completely different set of ways of thinking about values, ethics, and insights. And so I began to study, anxiously awaiting to discover some brilliant and sophisticated knowledge that was secretly being deployed in making corporations and nonprofits and governments successful at what they were doing in the world. But that all turned when I read Jim Collins' classic book, Good to Great. I remember being stunned after turning the last page because the fundamental message of the book could be summed up in one word: discipline. And the areas of discipline were virtues like humility, honesty, and truth-telling, responsibility, purpose, and values, things that I thought were only discussed in the religious sector about how to be a good human being. Over the course of my leadership development and consultation career, I have come to understand that good leadership begins and ends with the pursuit of a good humanity, and that leadership is fundamentally about what kind of people we are and want to become. In other words, leadership is about purpose, integrity, a commitment to making the world a better place, and the principles of care such as trust, kindness, self-control, and joy, all elements of what we sometimes call love. Now, there is no doubt that there are organizational and group dynamics that must be studied and understood, and we're going to discuss much of that in later lessons. But what is stunningly obvious is that all organizations are shaped, molded, and influenced by human beings. Leadership is fundamentally a human endeavor, and what kind of leader we are is directly related to what kind of human we are. Leadership is that simple and incredibly difficult. So whether you're pursuing these virtues through religion and spiritual disciplines, or you're discerning the behavioral sciences of economics, sociology, or organizational psychology, just remember that the goal of being a good leader begins and ends with being a good human being. And you get to decide what kind of good you want to be. And that, my friends, is why we began our study of leadership with these three questions that are all based around the fundamental human categories of desires, fears, and abilities. Questions like these are soul-searching questions, interrogations of who we are. And they are the questions that we need to continually evaluate in order to maintain our leadership skill.